while we're making the kofta soup today, we actually want to start off with making our meatballs. And we're gonna be binding our meatballs with something called paniseg. Now, paniseg is a dry powder, you can see. The main ingredients are yeast, there's potato protein in here, it's completely vegan, of course, completely allergy-free. And you just want to mix this paniseg with 3 tablespoons of water and let this hydrate. Now here, to also create some legumes inside and some other base for our meatballs, we're gonna be adding some lentil powder. So what is lentil powder? So in here is my water and my chicken seasoning, and then you could either use chickpea flour or lentil powder. Now lentil powder, all I did was take dry lentils that I bought at the grocery store and I put them in my blender. You can use them, just make sure your blender is dry. You could also use a spice grinder, a coffee grinder. And all I'm doing here is just cooking. You know, that's the nice thing I love about lentils is they're so quick and fast cooking. They, unlike many other legumes, do not have to be boiled. You don't have to soak them the night before. So all I'm doing is a quick cook here on the legume until you get a nice paste-like consistency. So now these meatballs are gonna be more delicate if you do choose to use the flaxseed instead of the paniseg. But I do encourage you, regardless, make sure you do set up your meatballs. We're gonna pop them in the refrigerator or the freezer for about 30 minutes just to set up. And then I do like to pan fry them to really augment the flavor because we get a little more fat in there. Because if you think about it, chefs, right in here, there's no fat. All it is just the water, that chicken seasoning, and then our lentils. There is a little bit, we're gonna be mixing this to our ground beef mixture. There's only a teeny weeny bit of fat in there, so not too much either. That's why pan frying your meatballs will really augment the flavor of them before you pop them into your soup. And what I love so much about this soup is that it's been liked by meat eaters as well as vegans alike. We have actually had students that are from this part of the world, from Iran, Persia area, and they've actually had this recipe has been sampled by their friends and family who've had the traditional one. And I'll tell you, it's gotten a thumbs up from years in our class. So I hope you choose to make it. So I'm just gonna turn that off. Pop that in here, and now I'm gonna mix that with our beef as well as with that paniseg. I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit, and then I'm gonna form it into meatballs. So now you just wanna roll out your meatballs to whatever size you like. Then pop them into the freezer for about 30 minutes. Pan fry your meatballs until golden brown. It is optional, but it really adds a lot of flavor to this soup. Now in the same pan where you fried your meatballs, go ahead and add a little bit more oil if you need it. And then you want to put in your red onion as well as your garlic. Make sure that's translucent for about 2 or 3 minutes. Then we're going to add our chicken seasoning, the tomato paste, and look at this gorgeous golden orange color from the turmeric. Mix that all really well together. Gosh, that tomato paste is such a fantastic ingredient. It adds so much depth, flavor to this. And now just add your water. We're going to bring that all to a boil. Let that simmer for about 5 minutes. Now that our stock has simmered, we're going to add our chopped spinach. This is going to add a lot of color as well as some texture to our soup. And then remember, we do have just a little bit of acid that we already have in our soup from the tomatoes. But what really punches up this soup is the addition of some additional acid. And we can use either lemon or lime juice. Here I have lime juice, about 20 mils. And this is your secret ingredient. Here we have a little bit of coriander and mint I'm going to pop in. I like to add even more that's in the recipe, but this is more the traditional one here. You can, if you can, in a pinch, if you can't get coriander or cilantro, you could use parsley, but the coriander is absolutely the most traditional and the flavor I like to add the most. And now just combine all of that. Season for taste, so you want to check your salt, check your pepper, see if that's good for you. Now I just have my bowl, and right here I've already put my meatballs, because remember they are a little delicate, and I've already pan fried them up. So then I'm just going to ladle my soup on top of my meatballs and then garnish with a little bit more of the lemon lime and more parsley and mint. And there you have the Persian Kofteh soup. I promise you, whether or not you're a meat eater or a traditional card-carrying vegan that is 100% plant-based, this is a dish that will satisfy young and old alike. Very satisfying and very